Hey, everybody, it's Dr. Jamal Bryant. Welcome to the Let's Be Clear podcast. You are going to be challenged. You're going to be strengthened. You're going to be convicted. And I'm believing at the end of this conversation, your mind is going to be changed. Sitting with me today is one of the gurus of insight and wisdom for Black wealth and for wealth accountability. I'm glad to have one of my mentors and father figures, Dr. George Fraser. Welcome, sir. Honored to have you.
It's so good to be with you. So good to see you. And I feel wealthy just being in your presence. God bless you.
You felt wealthy when you woke up. It wasn't before you got into my presence. You absolutely felt wealthy.
Yes, this is true.
Yes.
It's in the mind.
It is. Dr. Fraser, something is, I want to jump right in. Something is wrong in the culture. We probably would be the only culture on the planet that celebrates poverty. That there is a badge of honor for coming through the penitentiary. That we glorify the ghetto. And we have a bipolar relationship with success. We want it, but we despise those who have it. What has happened to us that we embrace the bottom?
I want to say this and still be loved.
Yes.
I have found the enemy, and the enemy is us.
Wow.
There is a critical existential problem in our culture that must be dealt with, and that is the Black family. The Black family is in a state of crisis, and no one is going to save us but us. It has been 400 years and we ain't saved. Who the hell are we waiting for? We're waiting for us. And it starts really, from my perspective, the number one crisis that we must deal with going into the final 3 generations of the 21st century is the restructure of the Black family. There is no culture in the history of humankind that has maximized their full human potential without family being at the center of that culture. Right. Today, marriage in our culture, this is a longer answer to a very deep question,
Yes.
which you asked, and the better the question, the deeper the answer.
Right.
When I was coming up, marriage in the culture, I'm just about 80, was 85%. Today it is 34%. 34%. According to all of the statistics and trajectories of the numbers, if we don't fix this, within the next 20 years, it'll be in the low teens. Okay. So that's one part of the problem. The other part of the problem that there is a disconnection between Black males and females that has spilled over into how we are guiding our succession plan, our legacy, our children.
Yeah.
If our children cannot see the future, they're not going to pay the price. Everything we do, we really do for our children. They are our succession plan, and they are our legacy. 70% of our children are born out of wedlock, and 70% of our children are raised in a single-parent household. That's not good. It fertilizes, to a great extent, a poverty mindset. Because where there is no family has a dramatic impact on accumulated wealth. Make no mistake about that. Let's just look at the statistics. Median household income in America, 5 major cultural groups. East Indians replace white people. Household median income annual, $124,000 a year. What is the marriage rate in the East Indian community? 94%. Second, also replace white people are Chinese Asians. Average annual household income, $109,000. What is the marriage rate in the Chinese Asian community? About 65%. Third of white people. Average household median income, $81,000 a year. Marriage rate, 57%. Fourth are Hispanics. Average household income, $63,000 a year. Marriage rate, 67%. And we are at the bottom. Average household income, $52,000 a year. Marriage rate, 34%.
Wow.
Only 66% of men, black men, are married, and less than 70% of black women are married. 29% will never, ever get married. Until we fix that, because it contributes to the levels of poverty, you can see that income and two people working towards the same goals average a heck of a lot more on an annual income basis than one person trying to do it by themselves. So this is something that we must address. We will not rise. We will not maximize our full human potential until we fix the issue of the black family, fix marriage, and fix the disconnection between the black male and the black female. That's a complex, gnarly problem and difficult to talk about. But again, I want to say this to the sisters out there, and I want to say this and still be loved. It seems to me that black women at this moment in time, Pastor, would rather have a baby than to be a wife.
Wow.
So we have to fix that. Lots of reasons for that. There's 3 generations of programming that I think that is at the crown of this experience that we're talking about here. One is, for 3 generations, our sisters have been told and taught, don't ever trust or depend on a black man to take care of you. A. B, our sisters have responded to that. And now, with education, in work, and salary, they are, in many cases, doing better. There are more sisters in law school, medical school, dental school, engineering schools than black men.
Right.
And salaries are equal or better. And now our sisters are saying, you've heard it a million times, I don't need you. I can do this better by myself. So there's a consciousness and a mindset that we have to fix that contributes to this deficit of thinking about why wealth is important. Why is wealth important? Let me say it a different way. When we finish pontificating ad nauseum about our issues and opportunities, somebody's got to write a check. Nothing will get done without money exchanging hands. We need money to educate our children, to fulfill our family responsibilities. And it seems as though that our wealth is declining. We are at the bottom of every single economic statistic that matters in America, and we've been here 400 years. Now, we know that there are lots of systemic reasons for it. But let me say this way. That was then, and this is now. All right. Let me make it even simpler than that. We can never use racism as a reason to fail. Why? Because there is racism. And therefore, racism wins and you lose. I refuse to lose. You refuse to lose. We understand that we still live in a racist country. Make no mistake about that. But it's not the reason to fail. It's not the reason to do badly. Our historical story is a horror story. Right? So moving beyond this sort of poverty mindset, as well as the statistical, realities of the poverty that exists in our culture, in spite of the fact we came over here since, with the Mayflower. We have a lot of work to do on ourselves. That's really what it is. The work has to be done from the inside out. It's a change of consciousness and a change of mindset. It's a understanding better on who we really are. See, white people know who we really are. They've known that since they dragged us over here. We're the only immigrants, non-immigrants in this country. We did not come over here as immigrants. We were dragged over here. And they know from whence we came. We don't know. We don't really, we know our modern history, let's say the last 400 years, but we have no clue of our ancient history that we were building pyramids and solving complex engineering problems when other cultures were living in the Caucasus Mountains practicing cannibalism.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's true.
So if everything happens for a reason and serves us in some special way, and you will never understand that reason looking forward, and you will only understand it looking backwards, let's think about this differently. Maybe we were not brought here, Pastor. Maybe we were sent here. Do you believe that God would put his weakest people here to do his toughest job? How could America at that time, morally, spiritually, and biblically, justify the kidnapping, raping, and pillaging of another two people?
Wow.
Natives already in America and Africans brought to America have any moral or spiritual grounding? And perhaps had God not sent Africans here, America might have self-destructed by now. So we have power. We are the most creative people on the planet. We absolutely have been making a way out of no way. I think we're also the most morally grounded and spiritually rooted people in this country. We have a lot to work with. And for poverty to dominate our being, our thinking, our poverty mindset, is antithetical to who we really are. So this is going to require therapy. Where are we going to get this therapy? We're going to get it in a progressive, good, and righteous Black church.
I agree.
That's one of the places we're going to get therapy. We're going to get therapy by honestly, openly discussing and talking about it and bringing this out. And as we speak about it, we create pictures, and we can look at those pictures, and that kind of therapy could possibly help. But we need therapy. We all do, right? I've been getting therapy for 80 years. And the way I get therapy is I hang out with brothers like you and Delano Johnson and Randy and Jackie, and I can name a whole, right? And just being in their presence is impossible for me to have a poverty mindset. They don't think that way.
Wow.
Right? So as I like to say, because I talk about the power of the human connection often, introduce me to your 5 closest friends, and that will tell me who you are. As they know and as they go, so go you. So it's the people in your circle. And this is important that we ingest that. It's important now, every now and then we make mistakes in terms of the people in our circle, and we have to recognize that mistake over time. Sometimes it's called a divorce. Sometimes it's called simply a bless and release, right? There are people in our lives that come into our lives, and it could be family. That's why friends are critically important, because it's God's way of apologizing for your relatives.
Wow.
Right. Now you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your relatives. Now there are relatives that are toxic. I've had them.
Yeah.
Right. I'm from a family of 11. Right, 8 boys and 3 girls.
Incredible.
Right? And people ask me all the time, Dr. Fraser, how did you get to Cleveland, Ohio? I got to Cleveland, Ohio running away from my family. That's how I got to Cleveland, Ohio. A quick story, I was an orphan for 2 years. My mother became mentally ill. And at 2, we were orphaned, 6 of us. We stayed in an orphanage from 2 to 5. And then we were put into foster care. I aged out of foster care, spending between about 16 years in orphanages and foster care. We aged out of foster care, but I have older brothers who, fortunately, my father, biological father, kept in touch with his children, even in orphanages and foster care. Had a brownstone in Brooklyn, New York. He maintained that brownstone. So like 40% of foster kids, once they age out, they have no place to go. Many of them end up homeless, right? I had a place to go. My sister had a place to go. And my younger brother, Joseph, the three of us were in the same foster care. But by the time we got back to my father's home, my older brothers were heroin addicts and heroin dealers. Heroin addicts and heroin. So here I am living in a brownstone in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York, with three heroin addicts and heroin dealers, people coming in out of our house, right? So I didn't say very much. I just packed up what little I had very quietly, got on a Greyhound bus, and went to Cleveland, Ohio, because I had an older sister that lived there.
Yeah.
Right? I was running away from my family. I had to, and I did not tell them where I was, other than I told my next door neighbor where I was going, and so that they wouldn't think that I was killed or kidnapped or that kind of thing. And I did not come back to New York for 5 or 6 years until I had my act together. I came back to New York, and then I dragged one of my older brothers out of a drug-infested apartment, put him in my car, and drove him to Cleveland, Ohio, and saved his life. So, again, I don't mean to make such. I don't mean to make a half-hour story out of this. But everything is in sequence. Everything is in its time, and everything is a lesson. It's a lesson. It was a lesson. It was an obstacle that I had to overcome. My favorite quote outside of the Bible is a quote by Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius, one of the 5 great Caesars.
Yes.
Right? And one of the co-founders of the Stoic philosophy. And he said in 600 BC that the impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way becomes the way. In other words, the obstacle
is the way.
Where there is no obstacle, there is no way. In other words, obstacles do not block the path. Obstacles are the path.
Yes.
That's exactly right. What is the first thing God does when he gives you an assignment he feels that you are prepared for, Pastor? He puts an obstacle in your way.
Yes.
And your job is to find a way over, around, through, and under that obstacle. Learn the lessons, stumble, fall, make the mistakes, and apply those lessons to the next assignment God feels that you are prepared for. And then he does what? He puts an obstacle in your way. And when you look back over your entire life, that's your entire life. It's overcoming obstacles. Poverty mindset. We're not in the best position that we ought to be. It's an obstacle. There are lessons that we must learn from this. We're powerful people. We can do this, and we will do this. We have no choice. And we have to have each other to do it.
No, it's strong.
Yeah.
James Baldwin said that many of us are afflicted with survivor's guilt. We're made to feel bad for doing well.
Yeah.
And I want you to unpack the burden of being blessed while being Black.
Where do you get these questions from? That's a wonderful question.
Yeah.
That is a wonderful question. I'm going to pivot on that question. I'm not going to answer the question with the question. It is really just a test of George Fraser.
Yes.
I've wondered for years, why did God make Black people first? Right? First human remains found in the Olduvai Gorge in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
100,000 years ago. You're hanging out in Ethiopia, you're blue-black.
Yes.
Right? Why did he make us first, though? Was God Black? What? And then I discovered the reason just thinking about it hard. We're the only people on earth that can make every color of human being. Nobody else can do that.
Yeah.
Right? And God's intention was to populate his earth with different color people.
Yes.
We were the only ones that could do that. Once you understand how powerful that is, it makes you feel good being Black.
Yeah.
Right? That we have a unique power. We're also, I don't know if it's a burden of being Black, it's the responsibility of being Black. We are the most creative people on the planet. We really are.
No doubt about it.
There's a unique gene in us, a unique gift that we have, that we can look at something and we can really create something literally from nothing. And we have proven that certainly the 400 years that we've been here. That's a beautiful, beautiful, powerful thing to have. And we have a magnificent history. And people say, well, if you go and visit, Egypt, there wasn't black people that did that. I said, no, that's not true, because you obviously have never been to Egypt, and you've never been in the pyramids of Giza, or you've never been in the Valley of the Kings and have seen the paintings on the walls that are thousands of years old. There are black people of every color, blue, black, right? And look at me, I'm light, bright, look almost white, but I'm when I open my mouth, I'm black, right? Because black is really not so much about color, but about culture, about culture.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about. And I now go back to the original point that I made, and that is, where there are no couples, there are no marriages. Where there are no marriages, there are no families. And where there are no families, there is no community. And where there is no community, there is no culture. Right? So we have to make each other and in God's image and the historical greatness of black people. And that is a tall order. And to consistently add to that. What more can we add to that? What more can we do? What more can we contribute? And most of that will have to come with doing. Unity and collaboration must come from us. And the interesting statistic, there are 8 billion people in the world. 16% are white people. 84% are melanated people, dominated by people of African descent throughout the diaspora, 1.5 billion, and Asians, and numbers are a little larger than that. So what does that mean? It means that we're not outnumbered, we're out-organized. All right? And so once we understand the power of the human connection, the power of organization, right? We connect the dots, as I've been saying for years. Game over.
Yeah.
But no one's interested in that game being over, because the game as it's played, as we know it, benefits them. Right? So we have to still do the work. Game over once we get our act together, change our mindset and consciousness. And people ask me all the time, Dr. Fraser, how long will that take? How long will it take to close the income and wealth gap between blacks and whites in America? I say about 100 years. We didn't get this way overnight. We're not going to solve it overnight. About 100 years, another 3 to 5 generations. So.
Yeah, but with us now, black people own more stock in the stock market than they ever had.
Yes.
And help me to build the divide. We have more stock, drum roll, and own less homes. How is that even conceivable?
Dr.
Fraser, we're here in Atlanta.
Yeah, I know.
We had I need you to hear this. 19,000 homes. 19,000 homes are for lease.
Yeah. Wow.
They're taking away home ownership.
Yeah.
Just for the aesthetic.
Yeah. Many of those are corporate.
Yes.
Big corporations buying up homes to lease, not to buy.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. And we're going for it.
We're going for it.
The other interesting statistic is that The average home in the hood, all the hoods in America, black homes, are undervalued by $48,000.
Woo!
That extracts $126 billion out of our cultural wealth, right? The average hood at home in the hood is undervalued by
$48,000.
$48,000. So you count the number of homes that we do own, let alone the ones that are leased, that's owned by corporations. That's an extraction of wealth. We have to fix that, and we can fix that. And we have to understand the 4 pillars for the intergenerational transfer of wealth. And the first pillar is the proper management of accumulated wealth. Right? That's the first pillar. That means financial literacy, financial education. We are the most financially literate people in America. I mean, we don't talk, we were not talking about wealth at home. Certainly when I was growing up, we weren't talking about it in the church, although there are 2,500 references to wealth and money in the Bible, and 4 of Jesus's parables are about money and wealth. We were, not talking about wealth at school, but that is slowly but surely beginning to change. Progressive churches like yours are talking about wealth and financial education, financial literacy. So this is something that we have to do. That's on us. And I think more of that is happening than ever before, but we still have a lot of work to do.
I want to pull the blanket off of the lump in the living room. We're in the middle of probably one of the most critical presidential elections. And I am seeing more and more black male celebrities out of hip-hop culture saying they're going to vote for Trump. They feel like the economy is better, the stock market is better, their taxes are better. There was an old saying, you would know better than me, success runs in the race. And the previous generation, 2 generations now prior to me, used to say to a successful black person that I've not heard in this generation, you are a credit to the race. Say that to people like Joe Louis, credit to the race.
That's right.
Now we're seeing individual success, not community advancement.
That's right.
Yeah. How do we sound the alarm to singular successful people to look at the good of the whole?
That's a big challenge.
Yeah.
There are too many of us who are doing well but are not doing good. They're not giving back.
Yeah.
Right. The overall mantra of our conference, the Power Networking Conference coming up in
July 10th through the 13th, Charlotte, North Carolina. Meet me, Master P. George Fraser.
That's right. And
I'll be there.
And you'll be doing the closing.
Yes.
The closing remarks. And we're blessed for that. Thank you.
I'm excited.
Yeah, no, we're more excited. And you're filling big shoes.
Yes.
And you specialize in that.
Oh, yes.
I've seen you do it.
Yes.
Many times. So we have to. What was the question? Was there a question or a statement?
The question is,
right.
There's a growing number
yes.
of affluent black males
not giving back.
Who are going with Trump, and they're doing it solely on economic reasons. What do we do? This race is going to be high. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough.
We're going to have to talk to them. Yeah. This is the most amoral human being I have witnessed in my nearly 80 years of living. I don't know how you practice our religion, whatever that may be, and vote for a human being like him, right? I understand how he got elected the first time. Nobody really knew Trump other than through The Apprentice. I knew Trump from because I was raised in New York.
Right.
New Yorkers didn't vote for him, and you
Right.
saw what they did to him.
Yes.
Just recently, 34 felony counts,
Yes.
straight up.
Yes.
And I think they're going for the okie doke. I mean, the superficial stuff. And I don't know if they've read Project 25. Have you, right?
Listen, that's a horror mystery novel.
Oh my God.
We're doing the electric slide backwards.
There you go. No, you read Project, brothers and sisters, go on Google and Google Project 25. This is the agenda of the Republican Party. If in fact Donald Trump is elected president, of which I don't believe he will be, but that's my opinion, this will set us back to the Stone Ages, if you will. Project 25, and look at the impact, how it infects, affects, and effects Black people. So if that's what your vote, if that's what you want, well, then you can try to put him in office. There's always going to be a percentage of any group that has twisted logic, is not well informed, does not have the culture as its number one interest.
Yeah.
They have their personal agenda that may be congruent with some superficial thing that he is promising, and they cannot see past the mask that this man is wearing. Now, I don't know that we can fix that. Right? There were those who voted for him the first time. Now, from what I understand, and you're right, I think it's going to be a slightly higher percentage. But last election, 63% of Black people, eligible voters, voted, the highest in the history of Black people voting.
Amazing.
We now have to take that to the next level to compensate for those, and it's mostly men. It's mostly men. It's a larger percentage of Black men than women that are moving towards Trump. We're going to have to just ask our brothers and sisters to come out and vote, because this, and I know we say it every 4 years, this is the most important election.
Oh, yes.
But this one really is. That's right. This one really is, and you have a contrast. You have a stark contrast between two white people, right? Make no mistake about that. So all we can do is continue to beat the drum for whomever we feel is the best candidate at this moment, and I happen to think it's Biden, right, as compared to the Project 25 agenda.
Yes.
And again, be an informed voter. Bill Maher, the great comedian, has been saying for 10 years that there should be an eligibility test to vote, because there are just a whole lot of real stupid people who vote. And they just should not be voting, right? They just have not. They're not literate enough to vote. Now I know that harkens back to the early 1900s when we had to take literacy tests and all that kind of stuff. But there's obviously a large number of people who are just not smart. Again, that's my personal opinion, but it's evident when we look at the polls and we look at the 70 to 75 million people who consistently vote for this man.
Yes.
So I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how to change the minds other than pointing them to something to read, something to digest, and to understand what the plan is if in fact he's elected, and it's public. Google Project 25 and read it yourself. And if you endorse it and you still think that's good for Black people, then you do you, because right, do you, because everybody else is taken. Yeah. But that's all I can say on that.
Over the pandemic, there was a surge and rise in social media, particularly of Black people who were suddenly selling courses on financial literacy. You hadn't heard of any of these people. All of a sudden, they got a class They got a plot, plan, scheme, conspiracy, and the only pathway to wealth was selling secrets to wealth. They couldn't show us businesses. They couldn't show us real estate. Let me teach you how to ducky. That was it. How, with a generation that is thirsty for this knowledge and they want this information, how are they able to navigate to say, this is what I can be drawn to, not the flash and dash?
Yeah, no, let me give you the 5 secrets of wealth. I already talked about one. The proper management of accumulated wealth so that you don't end up being an athlete or an entertainer making millions of dollars and within 5 years of retirement, right, is gone, right? That's the improper management of accumulated wealth. You do that through taking financial education courses at certified and approved and trusted sources, right, like your church. And there are other ways of getting that information. So that's one. Number 2, everybody knows or should know the cornerstone of building wealth, certainly in a middle-class family, is real estate. Real estate, own a home. Own a home, don't lease a home, right? Now, so that's real estate. The third is business. Business, start and build a business. Now, there's some good news there. There are 3.7 million Black-owned businesses in America today. It's the largest number of Black-owned businesses that we have ever had in the history of Black people in America. 3.7 million. A high percentage of those new businesses are our sisters. Okay, our sisters are seeding and starting businesses. So that's the upside. 3.7 million Black-owned businesses today. What's the downside of that? Only 161,000 of those businesses, Black-owned businesses, employ anybody, right? Employ anybody. But those who employ Black people, the average annual wages of those businesses, wages or income, I should say, is $1.5 million a year. That means that 3.5 million of our businesses are sole proprietorships.
Wow.
And the average annual wage is less than $20,000 a year, and that's below the poverty line. Okay, so we have to focus on not only starting, building, and then scaling our businesses so that we too can create work and jobs for our people. And hopefully by the end of the 21st century, we will be the number one employer of our own people, as Jews are the number one employer of Jews, East Indians are the number one employer of East Indians, Asians are the number one employer of Asians, Arabs are the number one employer of Arabs. We too must do that. We must start and build our own businesses. So the 3.5 million businesses means that our mindset is shifting from what I was getting when I was in school, get a good education and get a good job, right? Not all Black people need to be working for white people, although we need to be everywhere. I make no mistake about that. But we need to be creating work and jobs for ourselves as well. So this has got to be one of the major goals of your life. Start a side hustle and stop buying every damn thing, okay? We are the consumption class. They are the merchant class. They make stuff. We buy stuff.
Wow.
If you bake cookies, put them in a box, put your name on it and sell it to somebody. If you live on a farm, take the manure, put it in a bag, put your name on it. You can become an entrepreneur, okay? And sell it to somebody. Stop doing all the darn buying. And you may even want to call it a side hustle. All right, a side hustle simply means, if you want to, if you want to interpret that in English, is another stream of income. It should not be a Negro. And when I say Negro, here's how I spell that: N-E, capital G-R-O-W. Negro.
Wow.
Please. Grow. Negroes. Change. So we have to start more, build more businesses, scale more businesses. We have plenty of businesses. We still need more. And by the way, that's a large number, 3.7 million businesses, but we still own the fewest number of businesses per capita of any of the 5 major cultural groups in this country. So it's about scaling our businesses, and that's the fourth thing, proper Now, that's the third thing. And the fourth is proper insurance. Properly insuring our people. It was an interesting article in the New York Times about a year ago on black people and their cell phones. And what came out in the article is that more black people have insurance on their cell phones than on their lives. We have more insurance on our cell phones than on our lives and the lives of our children by a factor of 10.
Wow.
So we value our cell phones more than we value our lives. And proper insurance done right, and it doesn't cost a whole lot of money per month, done right can put you into a very comfortable, very successful retirement. It can help build wealth in your family. It can give you your own bank. You can borrow at little or no interest to send kids to college. I mean, it is one of the best tools ever invented. And by the way, if you look at all of the financial markets over the history of the financial markets, the only financial market that has never, ever crashed is the insurance industry.
Wow.
It's the insurance industry. It's always been this. But real estate, you figure the stock market, every other financial market has had its ups and downs. There's only one insurance. Why is that? It's a powerful instrument. So proper insurance is huge. And then the fifth and final thing, we talked about it earlier, and that's family.
Yeah.
Family.
Yes.
Right? Family working together, a male and a female, right? A king and a queen. In fact, this is what I said to my wife when I've been married to Nora G for 51 years. And I said to her, as I was proposing to her, I said, darling, we're making a vow that says till death do us part. She says, yes. I said, so here are the rules from my perspective. I'm the king and you're the queen. Now, when you become the king and I become the queen, it's over. Right? It's over. That's not how it's designed. Right? And it's been that way for 51 years.
What a blessing.
Right. 51 years. We were talking in the waiting room out here. I was talking to this beautiful young sister. I will not mention her name because I have a crush on her.
All right.
It's just a side crush.
All right.
Right.
Yes.
But she's beautiful. And what I mean is she's beautiful spirit, beautiful heart. And she's divorced. And I asked her a question. I said, what is the number one thing that a man expects from a woman? What's the number one thing? And so she thought about it, and she had a couple of good answers, but they were 2, 3, and 4. I said, the number one thing a man wants from a woman is peace.
That's all.
Peace. Do you know
Let
what?
there be peace on earth.
Peace. That's the number
Let it
one
begin
thing.
with you.
Then respect.
Yes.
Right? That's number 2.
Yes.
And the third thing most people don't know, non-sexual intimacy. Non-sexual intimacy, to love, to hold.
Yes.
Right? To touch. Non-sexual intimacy. This doesn't mean the man doesn't want sex. That's on the list.
Yes.
But put it in order. Non-sexual. And then of course we know the number 2, number 3, 1 things that women want from a man. And we put our hand on the Bible and we say what we're going to do. And that is to what? Provide and protect.
That's right.
Absolutely. And the expectation of her bringing her God's gift of nurturing to our children.
That's what we need.
We're not complicated.
No.
We're not complicated.
Simple BS.
That's what we do.
We are in the fourth wave of wealth in this nation. The first one was real estate. People were wealthy in this country based off of how much land you own. Second wave of wealth was the industrial era. Everybody went to Ford Motor Company, went to Motown. The third wave of wealth was the tech industry. And the fourth wave is now entrepreneurship. People who are watching are pulling out surfboards and say, I want to ride this wave. What would you say to them in 80 years of life to an emerging generation of Black people What is the entrepreneurial enterprise that you would say to young people? Ride this.
It's a very timely question. 22 or 23 years ago, had you rode the internet wave, you would be one of many millionaires if you had ridden that wave.
Yeah.
The new internet is upon us. AI. Now, we have to understand that we are in the Model T stages of the internet.
That's right.
And Henry Ford built 4 Model Ts over about a 20-year period of time. And he could never envision, even when he was building the first mass-produced car, he could never envision a Ferrari Testarossa or a Lamborghini. He couldn't even conceive that. In other words, what I'm saying to you, you cannot even conceive what AI will look like 20 years from now.
Maybe
30 years from now. Maybe that's right. At the speed in which it's growing. Learn it. Now, AI is not here to replace you. It is here to help you. But if you do not learn it, you will be replaced.
Wow.
Absolutely. That is the new field for wealth. You got to learn it. And it's powerful. And I use it almost every day. It's one of the most productive tools in my toolkit. And we're in the Model T stages of it.
The curse of Henry Ford.
That's right.
The curse of Henry Ford. He had his biggest, Dr. Fraser, his biggest fallout with his son. So he went on the factory floor one day, and his son unveiled to his father a Model T that was gray. He went to his office and found a bat and started beating the car because he could only see the Model T in one color, black. And a lot of us are missing it because we have a myopic vision of what the color of success is.
That's exactly right.
America has seen success and wealth in one color, and they're going to have to brace themselves.
That's right.
Because not a bat is going to be able to beat back black wealth.
Ooh, black creativity. Just think
Yes.
of the creativity that comes out of this brain.
Yes.
Right? We learn it,
Yes.
and then we teach it, we expand it, we grow it, we put our creative prowess against it, like you put your elbow. When my parents used to tell me, you got to use elbow grease, you got to go lean up into it.
Yes.
Right? And we apply that to this state-of-the-art technology that's in the Model T stages. You cannot fail, but you got to learn it, then you got to use it, and then you got to teach it. That's where wealth is going to be.
I need you to get all of this. July 10th through the 13th, we're going to be in Charlotte for Power Networking EX.com, a major conference. You're not going to figure out how to build a Model T car, but how to build wealth for your family.
That's right.
And generational wealth to come. Dr. Fraser, thank you for hanging out with me today.
Awesome.
I'm richer, I'm better, I'm smarter. Every time I'm breathing your oxygen,
Thank you.
I feel better.
Well, back at you.
Yeah, thank you. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what 80 years looks like. And I want to look just like it. Al Sharpton tried to make his hair look like Dr. Fraser. He has epically failed because this is a natural. I'm grateful for all of you. Make sure that you are following Jamal Bryant Podcast on YouTube. Let's be clear. For these riveting conversations, I don't want you to just hear. Don't be selfish. Don't be a gatekeeper. Share with all of your friends and your family. Until next time, thank you.